Welcome to Fresh Waters, spiritual reflections helping you to grow in faith. We begin a new series today on the worship of God. Today's key concept is that the worship of God is a lifestyle. Romans chapter 12, verses 1 and 2. Therefore I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship. Do not conform any longer to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. What picture enters your mind when you hear the word worship? Some have images of people in church in joyful celebration. Others will have images of a person in a solitary place in quiet, meditative worship. Often we visualize particular times of worship, but seldom do we consider worship as a lifestyle. Romans 12, 1 and 2 are two key verses of Scripture which should mold and shape our attitudes and actions towards worship. The verse begins with the word therefore, indicating what is said is a result of what has been previously said. This verse speaks of our need to worship as a result of God's mercy. God's mercy can be summarized in what happened in Romans chapter 1 to 11. And now, therefore, in view of God's mercy, ultimately God's mercy can be encapsulated in one concept, salvation. Romans chapter 1 to 3 speaks of man's need for salvation. Romans 3 to 5 speaks of the way to salvation through Jesus Christ. Romans chapter 6 to 8 speaks of our life of salvation. And Romans chapter 9 to 11 speaks of God's sovereignty in providing salvation, both for the Jews and the Gentiles. God's mercy can also be a reference to the immediate context in Romans chapter 11, verses 29 to 32, which speaks of God's mercy to the Israelites, the Gentiles, and the readers of the letters of Romans. In either context, the conclusion is that we worship God as a result of the salvation he gives us. Worship is a lifestyle and not just some Sunday morning program we participate once a week. This lifestyle worship affects our daily attitudes and actions. Our worship must be sacrificial, holy, and acceptable to God. Our lifestyle worship means that our thinking changes from being in conformity to this world to being spiritual and Christ-centered. The result of an acceptable lifestyle worship is the ability to test and approve God's good, pleasing, and perfect will. My prayer for you is that every moment of your life will be a demonstration of the living worship of God. Just think about it. Does your life demonstrate a life of worship in response to God's mercy? Is your lifestyle worship full of sacrifice and holiness? What areas in your life do you feel you must change in order for your worship to be acceptable to God? What one area in your life concerning lifestyle worship will you make yourself accountable for this coming week? May God bless you in your spiritual journey.